So Hannah is the mother of Samson. If you got a problem with Samson, you need to take it up with Hannah. Hannah is the mother of Samson. So Samson is born. Samson is given all this promise. He's going to be a leader of Israel. He's supposed to be a very devout, Israelite. He's a very devout Jew. He loves his God. His entire life, since the womb, he's been dedicated to God. They actually call him a Nazarene. A Nazarene. And it's ironic because in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Bible, a devout Jew like Samson is called a Nazarene. And if you look at the spelling of Nazarene, it's Nazi, Nazirene, Nazirine, Nazirene. So that's ironic. A devout Jew is a Nazirene, a Nazarene. Now, he's only, they say it's supposed to be devout. He's supposed to never drink, and he's not supposed to cut his hair, and then there was something else. And really the only thing he does is he doesn't cut his hair, right? Haircut, that takes labor and time, so I don't even know, is that fulfilling a promise, or is that just laziness? So the very first sentence of Judges 13, the story of Samuel, or the story of Samson, the very first sentence of Judges 13 says that God saw that the Israelites were evil and therefore put them under the occupation and the dominion of the Philistines for like 40 years. For 40 years. So God looked at the Jews, his chosen people, said they did evil, and therefore he put them under the occupation and dominion of the Philistines. It said that the Lord did this. God did this to his own chosen people. He put them under the Philistines because the Jews did evil in the eyes of their own God. So, does the United States need to occupy Israel today? Is that what needs to happen in order for them to abide by the two-state solution? It's just so ironic. It's so ironic. Basically, the Jews are the oppressed and they're getting attacked over and over again. And here it is in Judges 13, God said to the Israelites, to the Jews, that you did wrong in my eyes, so therefore I'm going to put you under the dominion of the Philistines for 40 years. So there you go. That's the setup. Now, I'm prone to believe that the Philistines were, terrorists and they're awful. They worship Dagon, right, and Baal and all these, not Yahweh. They didn't worship Jehovah. They didn't worship the correct Jewish God. They worshiped some other God. Not the Jewish God. So Samson is the worst hero that you could pick out of all the heroes of the world. You could pick Abraham Lincoln, Muhammad Ali, Jack Johnson, Willis Russell, Stephen Burbridge. All these are better heroes than Samson. And we know for certain that all those actually existed. We know Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves was an actual man that walked around the American West kicking ass, taking names. And I think the point of history is to find those figures in history that, they were essentially, they had a whole avalanche of bullshit. They had a machete through the jungle, but they were able to make it, and they succeeded. The point of history is to find those peasant nobodies that was able to, make something of themselves. That's the point of history. And so Samson is like he's like maybe 3,426 of the top heroes. He's one of the last heroes. He's a piece of shit. You don't believe me? That's okay. But compared to Christianity, he's, lusting for a Philistine woman, right? He lusts for a Philistine woman not once, but twice. And then he's seeing a prostitute. The Philistines almost kill him when he goes to see a prostitute. So this is the judge of Israel, a Philistine-loving murderer, terrorist. So he, in the very beginning, Judges 13, he lusts for a Philistine woman. He sees a beautiful Philistine woman, and he tells his parents, we don't even know her name, but he tells his parents, he orders his parents to go get her. No, I love that woman, Mom and Dad. Go get that woman, because I'm going to marry her. And they obey. They do it. So they all go to Timnah. Just outside of Timnah, that's when he's going to rip the lion in two. Now, this is crazy. He's going to love, essentially a woman of the people, the enemy, the people, the enemy of his people. He's going to love one of their women. In the New International Version, which is the, I think it's better, New International Version, essentially the elements of all the stories are mostly the same. So the New International Version had said that it was written that the Lord had said that it was necessary for Samson to love a Philistine woman to set up a confrontation with the Philistines. So this might seem weird at first, but just, give God and Samson a second here. So Samson is born. He's a Nazarene, right? This is all we know. He loves this Philistine woman, goes to the city of Timnah to marry this Philistine woman. And as he's walking up to the city of Timnah, a lion comes to attack him. In the desert? Are there lions out there in the desert in the middle of nowhere? And then it says he rips him in two, and then he says that they didn't tell his parents. He goes to Timnah with his parents. So they're all walking into Timnah. A lion attacks. His parents are nowhere to be found. And then he's like, well, I'm not going to tell them. And then why wouldn't he tell them that a lion attacked him and that he ripped the lion? And I don't understand any of this shit. Why are we even going down? So Jesus Christ, right? He pulled a Hercules. Wasn't that the first thing that Hercules did? He killed the Nemean lion. The first labor that Hercules had to do was go kill a lion. And here we got Samson killing a lion before anything's happened. So is that a policy? You see a lion, you rip it in half. You rip a lion. I've seen where they take the mouth, like artwork where they had Samson grab the lion by the mouth, like they was going to rip the lion from the mouth. But this Action Bible just had them pulling from the sides. So Hercules kills the Nemean lion, the first labor of Hercules. So this starts to sound like mythology, right from the get-go. It's like, what the fuck? He's about to marry this Philistine woman, but wait, hold on. I know that sounds bad. The enemy of his people, he's about to marry her. He's ordering his parents. I know, but guess what? Right before the wedding, he rips the lion in two, huh? That's kind of cool. You like Samson now? So Samson gets married, right? Rips the lion in two, doesn't tell his parents about it, kills the Nemean lion right before he gives himself to a Philistine woman. After Samson gets married, he walks by the lion carcass and he sees that bees have made honey inside the lion. Again, where the hell is this story going? So he rips the lion in two, which is, bullshit. And then it says he scoops honey out of the inside of the lion with his hand. And then he eats it, and it's delicious. And that's it. But this is important for his riddle. So he killed the lion, comes back in the carcass, the bees made some honey, and then he scoops the honey out with his hand. So he got married, but now there's a 7-day marriage feast, a wedding party, a reception, and 30 Philistines are there. The best man's a Philistine. Where are the Hebrews? Where are the Israelites? Where are his parents? His parents aren't even at this wedding. And then Samson makes a hefty bet with 30 men. And he says, if I win the bet, you all got to give me an outfit and some linens, a robe. You got to give me an outfit and a robe. But if you guys win, then I got to give you 30, linens and garments and robes or whatever. So essentially, he was going to get 30 brand new outfits, or he was going to have to pay 30 brand new outfits to somebody. And these people are poor, so, they can't afford to give up their clothes. So, just like Job, right, God and the devil, they made a bet. So it seems like you probably should stay away from bets. But Samson makes a hefty bet that he's got this clever riddle and that they don't know what the meaning of the riddle is. So this is like some Rumpelstiltskin shit, because it's not a clever riddle. It doesn't even make any sense. I bet you can't guess my name. Is it Bob? Larry? Sally? Sally Decker? Is it Rumpelstiltskin? Oh my God, how did you figure that out? So Samson, a judge of Israel in the Old Testament, comes up with this stupid, silly riddle, right? He's marrying a woman, you know, out of the enemy of his people, who's made slaves of his people. And to the 30 men, I'm not even going to say that they're the friends, but the best man of that 30 guys that was at the marriage party is going to be the one that takes Samson's wife. But Samson's riddle is this: out of the eater something to eat, out of the strong something sweet. Out of the eater something to eat, out of the strong something sweet. See, the riddle is supposed to be a clever wordplay, but actually it's like something, I observed something, here's a riddle, now you got to figure out. It's so stupid. It's so freaking stupid. So even though you're not supposed to make bets with the devil, I do like that Johnny kicking the devil's ass in Georgia. That was pretty cool. Well, Johnny said, just sit right there, old son. Let me show you how it's done. The devil bowed his head because he knew that he'd been beat. And he laid that golden fiddle at the ground at Johnny's feet. Johnny said, just come on back if you ever want to try again, because I done told you once, you son of a bitch. I'm the best there's ever been. Johnny, raise it up your bow and play your fiddle hard. The decker do's and the devil do's the world. And if you get dudes at this shiny middle made of gold, but if you lose, the devil gets your soul. And the answer to the riddle is a lion and honey. What's stronger than a lion? What is sweeter than honey? And they were able to cajole that out of the Philistine woman. They threatened to burn her and the father's house down. So in some respects, okay, I feel for her, but why didn't the Philistine go to Samson and say, hey, they just try to bully me to do this shit. You got to, watch out for him. It's supposed to be his wife, and yet she's sitting there doing, some bullshit for these 30 random guys, and who the hell are they? So in the Philistine woman's defense, they did threaten to burn her and her father's house down, and they'll do it later on. But I think the Philistines should have warned Samson, and then her and Samson should have got the fuck up out of Dodge, right? That's your woman. Is this shit, they're threatening to burn your house down, or what the fuck? They threaten to burn your house down, motherfuckers? Then the riddle is null and void. You cheated, you're threatened, and then what the fuck you doing? You're threatening my wife and his father? So, Samson's a piece of shit. This is where, Samson is going to start a murderous rampage. So in the very beginning, he's marrying a Philistine woman, right? Marries a Philistine woman and then automatically rips the lion in half just out of nowhere. A lion comes out of nowhere, he rips it in half. But he's marrying a Philistine woman, he's at this wedding party, he does a riddle, what's sweeter than honey, what is stronger than a lion, right? Out of the eater something to eat, out of the strong something sweet. It rhymes or something, how's that a riddle? How's that a riddle? Anyways, okay. But now, the Philistine, wife and her father was threatened with arson and murder. So in her defense, right, what could she have done? She was between a rock and a hard place. She should have warned Samson. But Samson goes off the fucking deep end. He goes to Ashkelon and he murders 30 men. He kills 30 men. He steals all the things from the robes and the clothing and the linen so he can pay off his debt for the wedding bet, for the wedding fucking douchebags. 30 guys, right, at the wedding. And it's going to be his best man, his so-called best man that takes his wife. So he was wolf-packed. You can assume that all those men at his wedding were not there for his benefit. They want to fuck him over. So I don't believe that they're being honest and decent, but he lost a bet, and the way that Samson figures that he's going to make good on the bet is he's going to go to the city called Ashkelon, which I believe is still a city today. It's 13 miles north of Gaza. So he goes to Ashkelon. He walked 13 miles, is that what he did? So he goes to Ashkelon, kills 30 men. 30 innocent men that had nothing to do with nothing. Didn't have to do, didn't have to do with shit. Killed 30 men to pay off the wedding bet. Why didn't he just kill the 30 men that threatened his wife? Instead, he goes and kills innocent people in a town nearby. And then he gives them their clothing and he says, here, I paid the debt off, but I did it with the lives of your own countrymen. And this is the Spirit of the Lord. Both times the Spirit of the Lord. So right before he marries the Philistine woman, rips the lion in half, the Spirit of the Lord got into Samson. The Spirit of the Lord, and then he goes and he kills the lion, then he goes and he kills 30 men. The Spirit of the Lord. So God was with Samson. God inspired Samson to go murder 30 men in Ashkelon. That's not right. That's so fucked. Killing 30 innocent people because of these 30 guys that you made a bet with that threatened your wife and your father-in-law. If he was going to kill any 30 people, it would have been the 30 guys that threatened his wife and father-in-law, but the 30 men in Ashkelon didn't do shit. And then the fact that he was inspired by the Spirit of the Lord. The Spirit of the Lord inspired Samson to murder 30 innocent people. It's also going to say, Samson, his final act of defiance is to crash the temple, to take the columns and crash the temple. And he's going to kill 3,000 Philistines. And the way they end that chapter is that he killed all the Philistines. There are no Philistines left after Samson, rocked the foundations of that temple, and he killed 3,000. Then the Philistines were, but that's not true, because King David, Samson was 1200 BC. King David was 1000 BC. So Samson was 100 to 200 years before King David. And King David, he had to, chop off those dick foreskins. King Saul wanted King David to prove himself, to make him worthy. You think you're worthy of my daughter? Well, you give me 600 dick foreskins. So that's what he went and got, killed Philistines and then cut off, circumcised them, I guess, after death, and then put 600 dick foreskins in a bag and then dumped them on the floor and said, here you go, King Saul. So King David was still fighting the Philistines. King David was still fighting the Philistines. So Samson couldn't have killed all the Philistines. I think the Philistines are going to go on for another 500 years after King David. You've also had there's one man named Shamgar. Shamgar killed 600 Philistines. So King David's killing Philistines. Shamgar killed 600 Philistines, and he killed it with an ox thing kind of tool. So kind of like the donkey jawbone. And then if you're going to, the reason why I believe that the Samson story is probably true, because if you're going to make up a story, right, you're going to make up Zeus, right? So you have the god of Zeus. Why would you say he picked up a donkey jawbone and then killed 1,000 Philistines? It seems like maybe he was, I think that he was a man and that his life wasn't as nearly extravagant, but there could have been a thing where he was about to be arrested and he took a donkey jawbone and he struck the two people that was arresting him. But it goes on to claim that he killed 1,000 Philistines with just a fresh donkey jawbone. So it was freshly just killed, a recently killed donkey. That just seems so overly specific. I don't think Samson was made up. I don't think he was modeled on, Hercules or Enkidu. I think Samson was his own person. Probably did a little bit here and there, but then the Bible just takes him. So he's like a Gilgamesh. You could never actually figure out who Gilgamesh was, but Gilgamesh built the wall of Uruk. So where's Samson's wall? Did Samson build a wall? Did he do anything? Gilgamesh built a wall, but he also was, fought Humbaba, and the god Ina was jealous, and Enkidu was a wild man created by the gods to fight Gilgamesh, who was a cruel leader, and then he becomes friends with Enkidu, and just a bunch of bullshit, right? So basically you had a king, and then they deified him later. They turned Gilgamesh into a god after he had lived. But me being, a study of history, it's like, who was Gilgamesh? What did he actually do? What did Samson do? Who was this Samson? So I think at best you could say Samson is a Gilgamesh figure if he's just, outright a total myth, 100% total myth. Like Zeus, right? Like Zeus, or like, Hulk Hogan or President Comancho. So that's why I believe there's a little bit of truth to it, because it's just so weirdly fucking specific. He's so unique. He's not a Hercules. There was no, they didn't just make this story up. They didn't just pull this story out of their ass. It came from somewhere. But interpretations, translations, I don't think we'll ever truly find out who the king of Gilgamesh, what kind of king he actually was. I don't think we'll ever figure out what kind of king or Judge Samson was, we don't even know what kind of person Samson was, because you had all that extra shit that was added on top of him. So that's another reason not to believe in Samson's bullshit. Hey, look, if you ever get in a bind, all you gotta do is just pick up a donkey jawbone, and then you could just beat the shit out of it. Be like Samson. Just, if they capture you, just start shaking the foundations of the temple and just crash the entire temple. If you come up with, if you ever see a lion and a lion's about to attack you, just rip him in half. Just be like Samson. Another thing, and I'll just end it off with this, but this is the only thing I knew about Samson before I, dove into and really learned the story of Samson, until I read the story of Samson for myself, was that Samson's power lies in his hair. Delilah tricks him. He gives up the secret to his strength. The soldiers cut Samson's hair. Now he has no power. And then it gets crazier because, okay, that's crazy and that's bullshit, but the Philistines are going to capture Samson, and then they're going to gouge out his eyes. And they're going to make him dance for him, shuck and jive. They're going to humiliate him. But then Samson gets the last laugh. But anyways, the main thing I knew was his hair, right? You cut off his hair, then he had no power. That was a covenant between him and God. He was given to God. Once his hair got cut off, then his entire Nazarene promise was gone. That's terrible science. The secret of Samson's strength was in his arms and his back, and, his fighting and his working, and had nothing to do with his hair whatsoever. His hair may have been like the magic feather, Dumbo's magic feather. It was like a placebo. It gave him confidence. But ultimately, Dumbo didn't need the magic feather. Dumbo's ears is what made him fly, not the magic feather. Samson's hair was the magic feather. Samson's strength didn't come from his hair. Samson's strength came from his muscles. So that was the first thing I know, but ultimately, the main thing that I know about Samson is just a bunch of bullshit. He got all of his power from his hair. Delilah tricked him and cut off his hair, and then that was it. That fucked him over for good. Really? That fucked him over? We've been burrs, getting haircuts forever. So even the main thing about Samson is bullshit. And there's a lot of mythological thing, right? Ripping the lion in half, killing 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone, donkey jawbone, killing 3,000 Philistines by knocking the temple down. I believe that he got gouged. I believe that he got captured. I believe that he visited that prostitute in Gaza. I believe that he married a Philistine woman. And I believe that he had a lot of troubles because of that. Then the 300 foxes. Okay, so we'll get to the 300 foxes in a second. More with Samson coming up. Peace.